There's no programming in today's video. I wanted to take a little diversion and do something different. And I've been thinking recently about people who start trading with very small accounts. So they might do this because they simply don't have a lot of funds to invest, or maybe it's just a hobby and it's just a small investment to play around with trading. Small accounts present challenges. So I'm going to talk about how you might trade these accounts. Now, before I go any further, let me tell you, this is not financial advice. I am not qualified nor licensed to provide financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, you should stop watching this now. So, in my example, I'm going to look at very small accounts, and let's say $100. That is really a trivial sized account. Now, the problem with trading a small account, let's say you get a 4% return on your trades, that's still only $4. But finding that trade that gives you a $4 return on a $100 account is the same amount of work as finding the same trade with a $100,000 account. So you're working just as hard, you're just not getting a big return. That leads the small account traders to do things like overtrading. They take too many trades, trying desperately to find winning trades. They take high risk trades. So instead of having a moderate stop loss, you might have a very large stop loss. Or you might trade a high amount of your capital. Instead of risking, say, 1 or 2%, you might risk 10%, trying to win all at one time. It also leads to high frequency trading, where instead of maybe taking just one good trade a day, you're trying to take a trade every 10 minutes or so, something like scalping. Scalping is not really for low value accounts. And if you have a very small account, quite often the tendency is to trust in auto trading. You'll go out and find an expert advisor somewhere and turn that on. But the expert advisor isn't perfect, and it's easy for it to lose, and you could easily lose a lot of your $100. You really don't have any room to move with a $100 account, so you have to be very careful with your trades. That means you have to accept that your trades are only going to return at most maybe 4%, and that you're only going to be making that $4 per trade. Just accept that, because otherwise you're going to be taking high risk. High risk means you're going to be getting high losses. If you're going to have multiple trades open at one time, they're all taking up margin, and margins take up your available balance, and with a very small account, you don't have a lot of available balance. Generally speaking, 5% per month is considered to be a good return on an account. You'll find plenty of people out there telling you that you can make crazy high returns, and they're really just trying to sell their advice. 5% per month is considered to be a good return. Now remember, you've got a $100 account, so 5% in your month is only $5 a month. It's not much, but it's better to make 5% a month than to lose $100. So just to explain what that might mean, assuming you run a compounding type system and you're making 5% per month and you compound that for 12 months of the year, that $100 multiplied by 5% for 12 months will give you $180 balance, so an $80 profit. If you then continue that into a second year, that will be 5% for 24 months, giving you a balance of $323 or $223 profit. That's a respectable profit considering you've only started with $100. It's way more than you'll get by putting your money into a bank. Now, to give you a sense of what it might take to make that 5%, if you win only 9 out of 20 trades, and on each trade you're taking a 2% risk and looking for a 3% reward, then that will give you a 5% return on that 20 trades. So if you're taking 20 trades in the month, that is your 5% per month. So 9 out of 20 trades, it's only a 45% win rate. A 2 to 3 risk to reward ratio is not too hard to achieve. And so to investigate this for myself, I set a challenge for myself. My challenge is to take a $100 account, attempt to make a 100% profit in 100 days. Now that's way beyond the numbers I've just given you, and that's because I wanted to put myself under some kind of pressure to just see how easy or hard it is to stay within the parameters. And I do not expect to succeed in making this 100% profit, or at least I did not when I started the challenge. So to achieve that 100% profit, I'm going to have to take this formula for winning 9 out of 20 trades with a 2% risk, 3% reward, and I'm going to change it to winning 11 out of 20 trades with a 2% risk, 3% reward. and that will give me a 15% return per month if I'm taking 20 trades per month. And that 1.15 for 5 months compounding will give me a balance of $201. So this is the average that I need to achieve in order to make that 100% profit in 100 days. Now, the reason why I say this may not be achievable, or I don't expect it to be achievable, if you take it to some kind of logical conclusion. So let's assume that there are 250 trading days in a year. There are slightly more than that, but say 250 is a round number. Then that $100 multiplied by 1% compounded over 250 days would mean I have a balance at the end of the first year of $1,203. That's a very respectable profit on a $100 investment. That's 12 times my original investment. If I then continue onto a second year, that will give me a balance of $14,477, beginning with only a $100 investment. After that, it gets a bit stupid. After 3 years, if I can manage to make 1% per day, I'll have a balance of $174,000. And just in case you're interested, if I did this for one more year, the balance would be over $2 million. So you can see why this might seem easy when you think about just 1% per day. But if you think that you can continue this over a long period of time, everyone would be millionaires. So the rules that I'm trying to follow with my trading. I'm taking 1, maybe 2 trades a day. So I'm not trying to take every possible opportunity. I'm looking and picking very carefully from a small number of instruments. Once I've made my profit for the day, I'm done. Or if I'm losing, then I prefer to just stop and wait for a better day to trade again. So I'm prepared to accept my 2% loss, and once I've made my 1 to 3% of profit for the day, I'm out. I'm not using automated trading, almost. I do have an expert advisor that simply handles stop loss on trades, but I'm not using anything to automatically enter trades. Every trade that I take is from my own visual analysis of the charts and simply taking the trade. There's no magic indicator formula. I'm not mixing together various indicators and setting limits on them all and saying that when these conditions happen, this is where I'm going to trade. I'm actually watching the chart and looking for price movement based on the price action that I think will give me a good return. I'm looking for around a 150 point profit. So with my 2 to 3 risk to reward ratio, that means I'm looking for a stop loss at around 100 points. I don't always stick to that stop loss, and I'll mention that later. But that 150 point profit, I find, is achievable. That's about how far I can expect prices to move when I detect a movement in my favor. If I set the profit higher than that, it's much harder to achieve. If I set it too low, then the stop loss also needs to be much lower, and it can easily be hit just with the noise in the markets. So I find a 150 point movement is quite good. This also means no high value instruments, like gold, for example. I tend to be trading currencies. If you look at Euro USD, then 1 point is worth $1 if I have an entire 1 lot traded. So if I trade a micro lot, 0.01 lots, 1 point is 1 cent. So a 150 point profit is $1.50, which is 1.5% of my balance. And if I'm risking 2%, then I simply trade 0.02 lots, and that gives me my 3% profit target. If I were to trade gold, the value per point varies quite a bit, but it is much higher than that. So my take profit point needs to be much closer, and so does my stop loss point. And like I said, the chance of hitting the stop loss is taken up in noise. So at the moment, because I've still got a small account, I'm not trading high value instruments because I can't trade a small enough lot size that I can set that 150 point target. I also find that the 150 point target is helped in my case because I'm trading in the Asian time zone and prices move more slowly there. So now, with all that description out of the way, I set the target and I started trading with real money in January. It's Sunday now, and last Friday marked day number 25. So based on my targets, I would have been hoping to make $25 by now, and based on what I thought was realistic, I would have made maybe $5 to $6 at 5% per 20 trades. And my intent in setting up this real money account was to demonstrate how that would work. It has not gone to plan. Let me bring up MetaTrader here and show you the account. You can see the balance here, $162. So I'm actually already 62% up. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a brilliant trader. What I think this means is that I'm heading for a period of significant losses to make up for this. But so far, I have made quite a good profit. And as a result of that, what I'm going to do is publish these results regularly and make these short videos simply to show progress on this account so you can see what's happening. But I'm $162 up. If we look at the history, and the first thing you may notice here is the balance is $108.16 when I made the initial deposit. That is simply because I started doing this on a different account with a different broker, and I was restricted by the Australian trading regulations, which set a 30-to-1 leverage. So I made a couple of trades there and decided that this was never going to work. So I closed that account and transferred the entire balance in here, and at that time the balance was $108.16. But here are my trades. You can see I've had a lot of winning trades and some losing trades here, here, and here. So I haven't had very many losses, and that accounts for my very high profit ratio so far. I don't think this is because of brilliant trading. I think the market conditions have just been very good at the time for me to do this trading, and that's why I think that I could be heading for a period where I don't make the same sort of profits. But this is where I am at the moment. This is a real money account. Started with $100 or $108.16 here. The only indicator that I'm using, let me make this a little smaller, is pivot points. So what I look for is a significant price movement across a pivot point line, or at times where the price has moved across a pivot point line and then reversed, changed direction and come back across the line. So I'm looking for pullbacks or significant price movements. And as I said, I'm simply eyeballing the chart to look for these kind of movements. If you want to track this yourself, I've also posted this onto myfxbook. It updates about once a day. And if you look at the beginning here, you can see 0% was a deposit of $108.16. So that's after I closed down the first account and moved to here. And that's why the profitability on this looks a little bit less. It's only showing $54.27 there because it's taking out that initial $8. But you know that I started with $100. So if my current balance is $162.43, then that's where I am. I will post the link to this myfxbook in the description. It may have already appeared on the screen as well. So to go back here, you can see not all of my trades have an entered stop loss. That's because at times I will use an expert advisor to set a stop loss, and it's because I sometimes want to look at more of the market dynamics for the stop loss, and that expert advisor, rather than actually set a stop loss, simply looks for a point where it thinks the loss is too high and cuts out. And that has saved me from being cut out on losses a few times where the prices then come back. I have also at times where I've detected a movement that I felt was a good movement, but the price has then gone against me. Rather than take a loss on that, as long as the conditions still look like the price should go in my favor, I have waited until there is another signal that's also in my favor, and I've averaged it in with that. So I have done that a couple of times. So I've taken some risky type approaches. I haven't gone with deliberately re-entering a trade after a certain number of points loss. I always wait until there is a signal again in my favor, and I am prepared to take losses, although my track record so far shows that this has been going very well. But I'm not trying to show this as an example of very good trading. This is just where it is at the moment. So as I said, I will post updates on this account over the coming weeks. I am still aiming for that 100% in 100 days. If I manage to make the 100% profit, I will then move into an account management mode where I will withdraw half of the profit, $50, and leave the remaining half so that I can compound and grow the account. And that will be my approach going forward always. At various points, I will withdraw half of my new profit and let the balance grow by the remaining half. So we'll see if I can achieve that and when it happens. But this is my 100, 100, 100 challenge. If you do have a very small account, the thing I would tell you is don't overtrade, don't over risk. take the small profits and be happy that you're not making big losses. If this has been interesting to you, or at least useful, then please click the like button. It helps me to get more views and helps to support the channel. If you want to see more videos, then click subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when I release the next video. So until the next one of these videos, thank you for watching.